When I pledged to unite my life with my treasured partner, I held an unshakable conviction that our partnership was an impregnable bastion, poised to endure any hardship fate might cast upon us. Our relationship was built upon a foundation of steadfast confidence, and I imagined a future where our affection would triumph over every challenge. However, life, with its erratic shifts, often delivers shocks that burn and bewilder. It was amid one such staggering blow that I faced an unanticipated tribulation, one that drove me to share my account. A chronicle threaded with astonishment, anguish, and a deep sense of treachery. Amelia and I had been bound together for what felt like forever. Our journeys had merged since our earliest years, our lives woven into one through shared communities, school grounds, and countless moments that formed a vivid mosaic of recollections. For so long, I believed I knew her thoroughly, that I had delved into the very heart of her soul. Reflecting now, I see how tragically wrong that notion was. The world has a way of revealing truths that pierce like a knife, and the discoveries I made were both stark and chastening. The turning point came on a vibrant New Year's Eve, a night intended for celebration and mutual delight. Amelia spoke of a mandatory work function tied to her recent, well-earned advancement. Though a twinge of disquiet stirred within me, I quickly pushed it aside. This was her opportunity to glow among her associates, after all. At the same time, my own employer was throwing a spirited gala that evening. In previous years, we'd navigated such events as a pair, but this time, I stepped into the night unaccompanied. My coworkers, always eager with good-natured teasing, poked fun at me for letting my wife venture out on such a festive occasion, quipping that someone might sweep her off her feet. I smiled, secure in my belief in Amelia, but their banter planted a faint kernel of concern, one that would soon blossom into a thicket of unease. By the time restlessness began to tighten its hold, it was too late to change my path. Had I foreseen the gathering storm, I might have opted to accompany her to her workplace, rather than attending my own affair. I kept my drinking modest, but as a tide of anxiety rose, I stepped outside to inhale the brisk night air. The cold steadied my nerves, but just as I turned to re-enter the festivities, my phone vibrated with a message from an unknown number, a series of emails, strangely enough. A subtle sense of misgiving gripped me, though I told myself that if something were truly wrong with Amelia, a call would have arrived, not an enigmatic note. I dismissed the message, assuming it was probably spam or a minor irritation. As the party hit its peak and guests poured outside to admire the fireworks lighting up the night, I stood in the cold, only to receive another message from the same mysterious sender. I was set to ignore it as another bother, but a nagging inner prompting urged me to investigate. When I finally opened the first email, its contents hit like a strike to the chest. My breath hitched as I reread the words, struggling to process their devastating meaning. The charges were clear. Opening the next message, my heart sank further. It made allegations about Amelia that were inconceivable, and the sender's familiarity with our life left me profoundly shaken. As the significance of those words settled in, mistrust and doubt began to infiltrate my thoughts. Amelia's silence, her failure to pick up my calls, only deepened my growing alarm. The brilliant fireworks bursting above seemed a harsh contrast to the turmoil churning inside me. I abruptly abandoned the celebration, hurrying to a nearby bus stop where, by pure chance, I secured a cab. The city streets were oddly quiet as I arrived at Amelia's office building. Preparing myself for the worst, I entered, where one of her colleagues met me with a solemn expression. She gently guided me toward her director's office. "I saw your wife go in there," she whispered. My heart thundered as I braced for what I might find. With a steadying breath, I pushed open the door and faced a sight that demolished my world. Amelia and her director, entangled in a manner that left no ambiguity. A surge of anger roared through me, and in a flash of adrenaline, I shoved the door wider and lunged at her director, my fist meeting his face. Rage consumed me, but a deeper control prevented me from turning my fury on Amelia. Later, I learned the messages had come from one of her co-workers, the same colleague who'd pointed me to the office. I never explored her reasons. Perhaps she believed she was assisting me, or perhaps her motives were less honorable. Regardless, the devastation was permanent, and no rationale could ease the pain of betrayal that scorched my heart. Even after all that unfolded, I couldn't fully quench the affection I still held for Amelia. Even now, I'm tormented by a recurring question. Should I feel indebted to the person who shattered my reality? Or would I have been better off in blissful oblivion? The proverb suggests that ignorance is bliss, yet there's no way back to that earlier time. On one side, carrying the weight of a hidden falsehood would have been insufferable. On the other, the painful truth unraveled the life I once treasured. It feels as though I'll never find an answer that brings comfort, and I'm left grappling with a truth I never wanted to know.